Good morning, trading world. It is February 11th, 2022, just after 8 a.m., and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the SPY. All right. The title for today's outlook should have been computer issues. Because I'm having a lot of them this morning. My second PC that hosts my spreadsheets and record and track data did not want to join the network this morning. And after I finally persuaded it to join the network and proceeded to log half the data for this morning, it decided to crash. So I'm kind of running a little ragged and had to cut some corners this morning. All right. We come into this Expiration Friday after some decent sell side activity. Today I am looking for the 4-hour time frame to cycle out completely and consolidate today. Now that consolidation could be in the form of retesting overnight lows and at some point a midday rally or a mild rally as positions are closed and rolled for the week. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into key levels to watch for today. All right, key levels to watch today, starting on the resistance side. Jack resistance is going to be the 449 to 451 area. Queen resistance area is going to be 452 to 453. And king resistance is going to be 454 to 458. On the support side, we have Jack support at 445 to 444. We have Queen support at 443 through 442 area. And King support at 440 to 438 area. Coming into today, the main thesis is bullish, closing above 449.32 with a projected high, possible target of 453 through 456. Alternate thesis is bearish, closing below 449.32 with a projected low of 445 to 443. The current minor channel that we are in is 453 through 443, with the major channel being 453 all the way down to 425. Let's get into the scenarios for the day. All right, here we go with scenario number one. I always talk about range days and how there are so many different variations and shapes a range day can take. For the most prevalent scenario today, I see an expansive range day, but today could be one of those rare expiration range days where we get what feels like a trend day down and a trend day up all in the same day. Those tend to take place, every so often, and usually when there's some big events that have either just taken place or coming, and it's building towards something. With this type of range day, we could look to set a decision area, upper boundary around the Jack resistance area before. I want to say I have it written as chopping lower, but we could go on to a full trend low for some part of the morning before going sideways, because I do see a lot of transaction and activity here at the 445 area, and it could take a minute to eat a lot of that up. If we hold it and we hold that area, that could be the building of some pressure that could see what could seem like a breakout as we cross back above the previous close of 449, represented by the blue line here. And we could get that breakout at some point, and maybe a small pullback, but this day seems to almost never end, because it could continue up for a good ways, putting us right back to that overhead supply area at the King resistance area. So I want you to be prepared for that. That's not to say that's how it will go, but that is a scenario to be prepared for. Again, and always preaching, especially with the range days, there's so many different scenarios that could take place. One of the other things that could happen on this range day, we could get a small lift up and then fail again as we continue to fall and fail until we hit some support area, where at that point we could get this lift off at some point, and it could come closer to the end of the day. So be prepared for that. I have seen this before, and it just has that feel, and I'm a little angry that my computer crashed and I didn't have time to go through everything like I would normally do, but it just has that feel, so be careful. And even if we do get this lift off, I'm pretty much warning you that the risk is to the downside still. So we're entering into territory where I deem it unsafe to hold longs overnight, because coming in, I see something that's going to take place somewhere around the 13th or 14th on the QQQ, and anything that happens in a magnitude on the QQQ will affect the SPY. So when something like that takes place and you're holding something long overnight, we're getting into that territory where we can open, we could wake up one day and open gap down 50, 60, 70 points. And it would absolutely kill whatever long position you was and turn your account upside down, especially if you are not risk averse. So I want you to be very careful of that in these upcoming weeks. So that is scenario number one, the expansive range day. Let's get to scenario number two. All right, scenario number two could be a rounded reversal day type structure. We could get a continued fade toward the queen or king support area and find midday chop around either that queen or king support area. And then, like always with a rounded reversal day, that same energy or force that we came down with, we could see that same energy going back up the second half of the day. Again, these have variations to it, and I will show a variation because things are kind of, there's a lot bubbling under the market right now to where it's it could explode either way, or things could be exposed. So one of the things to look out for on the rounded reversal, we could actually start and head toward our queen or king resistance area, and then reach our midday chop around one of those areas before doing the same thing, using that same force that we came up with the second half of the day. We could come down with that same force. So that is the rounded reversal day type structure, something to plan for. And let's bring up the last scenario. All right, the last scenario of the day could be our trend day up, which is it's close to having a chance of happening. Usually with the trend day up, we usually have to open with a gap above the previous close, and we start to fade back toward that previous close, finding support on or before that previous close. Once we find that support, that's when the trend or rally begins for the morning, taking us up to either our queen or king resistance area, and reaching that area probably around midday, and we find our midday chop around one of these areas. Then starting the second part of the day or after lunch hour with a head fake up, and then at some point during the second half of the day, a slight fade going into the close. Now, we also have a vice versa scenario, being that if we don't make it past the actual previous close before the opening, we could have a vice versa scenario where it would be a downtrend day type. And with the downtrend, we would already open gap down. We would make a try toward the previous close, which at that point would be seen as resistance. And we would flip over at that point and enter the morning trend down toward our queen or king support area, finding our midday chop point before opening the second half of the day with a head fake, and then probably a little bigger rally going into the close. So those are the scenarios for today, the vice versas and how they could play out. You want to keep as much of this in mind as possible. The previous close plays a very important role in determining what day type we're dealing with. And so you usually have that first 15 to 30 minutes of the trading day to line all these data points up to figure out what's going on for the day or what type of day it will be. So with that, especially operating in volatile market conditions, please define and know your risk. Profit will come. And as always, wishing you a successful trading day.